All right. Hey. Thanks again for pressing play and welcome once again to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast, a post-game podcast that normally occurs after Phoenix Suns games, but we are doing it after Team USA plays their final game in Group C against Puerto Rico, winning this game 104. I think it was 83. I forget what that final score was. I had my pillbox all ready to go, and then what happens? Of course, they get a basket with like 0.1 left. But nonetheless, Team USA emerges victorious, goes 3-0 in group play, and now we will go on to the tournament play in the Olympics. We don't know when and who the USA will be playing. We should know that information a little bit later tonight. But for the purposes of this podcast, if you already know, just shout it out loud and let your friends know that the Team USA has moved on and that they're going to be playing insert team name here. My name is John, managing editor, Bright Side of the Sun, and I'm going to walk you through this journey. Got a Dunkin' iced coffee. Never had Dunkin' before in my life. So if I start to wig out a little bit, hey, I'm not much of a coffee drinker either. I typically go with the energy drinks. But this is a reminder to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're watching this. If you happen to be on our YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell notification. We'll let you know when we go live, which is after every Phoenix Suns game and apparently after every Team USA game, because this is now 3 for 3 in the Olympics. Make sure you follow me at Darth Voida on Twitter, and of course, read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. Matthew will not be with us today. He's going out for some Saturday morning brunch, so I'll have a different special guest, and we'll get to that right after we make the drop. That's right. Team USA wins, and joining us on the podcast, Spurs Fan Ryan, an Olympic mercenary, one of our favorite guests that's been on only once, but super excited to have you back on, Ryan. How you doing today?
Hey, thanks, John. Thanks for having me. Doing great any day, man. Anytime I can wake up in the morning early and watch the USA dominate at basketball, it's already start to a great day. So definitely on board. I got my 2 Olympic gold medalists behind me for their various countries. So we're ready to get this started.
So for those of you who are listening, Ryan has Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili jerseys up behind him because, of course, he is a Spurs fan. And you're right, they both have gold medals after Ginobili won in 2004 against Team USA. Not even against Team USA. He forced us into the bronze. So you son of a bitch. But yeah, I thought it'd be a fun opportunity. You and I always talk basketball, and typically it's a spirited conversation on whether or not Robert Horry should be in the Hall of Fame or not. And that's for another podcast. But that being said, so says Jay, says, nice to see Ryan hates America. Standard Spurs fan. I should have Justin on this. He'd be really funny too. But again, a Team USA game. And it brings me to my first question, and I didn't have the time to sub it to Ryan, I got to ask, but we'll play it anyway.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
So, Ryan, I got to ask, are you looking forward to LA 2028 simply because of the time? Like, it's going to be so nice to have an Olympics that's actually on our own time zone, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. Actually, those people who know me know that I was planning to go to Tokyo. I was putting away money every month, saving. And then obviously the world took a shit and I didn't get to make that trip and that journey. So, I've always wanted to go to Olympic events, just all of the events, track and field preferably. So looking forward to that opportunity in LA. I'm going to try to see if I can get into some events. It's going to be a shit show, I'm sure. But, we live close enough here in Phoenix that we can, make the drive, make a quick flight, figure it out. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. One of the reasons I'm really looking forward to it, again, is here we are. It's 8 a.m. In Arizona. And I know a lot of you who are watching or listening are doing so from very different time zones than our own. And that's awesome. It's awesome to have so many watchers and listeners from the entire globe tune in to this podcast and you're probably like, shut up, guys, quit bitching about the time zone. But it will be nice in 2028 when all the games are literally on our time zone. Like, okay, Team USA plays at 5. What time is that here? 5, because we are on the same time zone as LA during summer times. And it's going to be really fun to watch and consume it from that point of view. Because, for example, after this game, Group C, where Team USA beats Puerto Rico, they're going to go on to the elimination stage. And we don't know what time that's going to be, but it's probably going to be during the week. And it's probably going to be at like 8 a.m., or 12 p.m. And I don't know about you, but I work. Yeah. And it makes it hard to watch and consume these games. Now, granted, there is the beautiful streaming services and the way that the modern way to watch basketball is through Peacock and things of that nature. So you can watch it on demand at a later time. But then you have to like put your phone away and not be connected to the world in that capacity, which is probably a good thing to know what goes on with Team USA, right?
Oh, totally. Honestly, this is the first game I've watched of what they do, the friendlies beforehand. I caught a couple of those, but I haven't been able to watch the actual Olympic events because we've been working or I've been busy with other stuff. It's logistically a nightmare. I think back to the old days when everything was on blackout, even like the Super Bowl. If the Super Bowl was played on the East Coast, but you lived on the West Coast, you might be on blackout. You had to turn out, but that was easier back before cell phones. So yeah, I'm totally with you, man. I'm looking forward to it being in LA. I'm looking forward to being on our own time zone. I'm looking forward to maybe going to a bar, grabbing a drink, watching the game with my buddies.
It's hard.
That kind of thing.
It's hard to go to the bar and watch USA versus Puerto Rico when it starts at 8 a.m. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, not impossible, but
well, taking a look at this game, obviously it was an interesting start. But I guess I'll start with my first, trivia time question.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
You're a smart guy, Ryan.
Sometimes.
You like trivia, don't you? Sometimes. How far away from the United States is Puerto Rico?
Oh shit! If
you were to guess,
I'm about to lose my Latino card, even though I'm not Puerto Rican. If I had to guess, from the United States,
yeah,
and just in general, any part of the United States?
No, from like the United States, so it would be closest to Florida.
Yeah, sure. I don't know, 1,800 miles. I have no idea.
It's a good guess. I definitely thought that it was less than what it was. I'm like, oh, it's got to be like 300 miles off the coast, right? It's 1,000 miles. So, So there you go.
Price is Right rules. You won that.
Yes, $1, 1 mile, Bob. But you take a look at this game, and it was an interesting start because we couldn't see the start. The women's gymnastics, the vault finals were going on, and it bled into the first half of the first quarter. How does NBC fuck that up?
I think. This is an excellent question, but I do think that considering that it was focused around Simone Biles and Team USA, like love her, hate her, Simone is amazing. Like she is, when you watch her out there, it's like she's clearly the GOAT. It's like watching poetry in motion. So I don't know if that's, and you got to remember that this is a wider TV show for everybody, not just for us basketball heads. So, I wasn't that mad about it. I was like actually kind of excited. I got to see the end of that leading into the game. I think this actually brings up a different point, though. I think that I was going to bring this up a little later, and I can hold off on it. But I think that we're so tuned into the way that the NBA is run, right? The NBA, like the structure, the timeouts, the commercials, the period leading up to the lead in, all that stuff. The international game is much more no nonsense. 10-minute quarters. It's a more fluid game. It moves faster. The game's over quicker. It's almost like soccer in that sense. And honestly, I kind of love it. It's what I love about basketball, or at least growing up playing basketball, that I feel like the NBA kind of moves away from, because it gets more grindy in certain aspects of the game. And so
this is such a great point. And so I want to extrapolate on that point for a second, but I'm going to go back to my original question relative to no, you're fine, because you bring up a great point. The only thing I wish, so we did the thing on playback. Like Matthew was there this morning. We popped on playback. So if you guys don't or haven't, go over to playback.tv, go to the Bright Side of the Sun channel, subscribe to it, and you can watch games along live with me and Matthew. It's really good. We leave in the first quarter to go get salad and go burritos and Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and then we come back and we talk.
America runs on Dunkin'.
Apparently, this is my first time ever having Dunkin'. Do you like Dunkin'?
Yeah, man. When I used to live out on more East Coast, it's more of an East Coast thing than Starbucks.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's okay. I'm feeling a little jittery. I like it. It's doing the job.
Story for another time that I'll tell you. Duncan saved my life from a blizzard one time at 4 a.m. when I had nowhere else to go. Long story, won't go into it now. Anyways.
Wow, nowhere else to God bless you, Duncan.
Yep.
But that being said, watching on playback, I just wish there was any options like, cool, the vault is going on and it is fun to watch. But by the time I tuned in, Simone had already gone. So I didn't get to see her in her excellence do what she does. And it is amazing what she does. She gets up to like 14 feet in the air doing a gazillion flips. You're just like, that's not right. It's amazing, that athlete. But I'm like, why don't you just give me the option to choose something else? And I went on to YouTube.tv because I signed up for YouTube TV yesterday, Ryan. Finally cut the cord.
Oh, welcome to the new generation.
Yeah, I had somebody on Twitter. They're like, "Welcome to 2018."
Yeah, that's about right.
But I finally got rid of it, and it was funny when I did call DirecTV because you can't do it online. I called them and they talked to me, and the guy's from Houston, Texas, and he's trying to be nice. He's like, you're like one of our VIP Flash members. You've been with us forever. And after I told him no like 6 times, he's like, I'm going to transfer you to somebody else because they might be able to offer you something I can't. Like, you can't offer me anything. I'm like, listen, dude, it was already hard enough telling you no. Please don't make me say no to somebody else. He's like, and he laughed. He's like, okay. But I just checked on YouTube TV to see if I could see another stream and go away from the programming that was currently on NBC, and they just didn't give that option. So again, it's not the end of the world. I'm talking first world problems here, right? I talked about this on the last podcast where here we are talking about the timing of these events, the lead up of when we can actually watch them because there's been some bleed over from another Olympic event. These are first world problems. These aren't problems like South Sudan not having an indoor basketball court in the entire country. So I'm clearly just being a prissy son of a bitch. And
I heard that. I heard your rant the other day and I was laughing at it. I was like, dang, John, you're going down a rabbit hole. But I will point out one fun thing. Am I the only person in America that thinks of the movie The Air Up There with Kevin Bacon every time I hear that South Sudan doesn't have an indoor court?
I forgot about that movie.
He teaches them to play basketball and they're playing on an outdoor court or whatever, and it's a whole thing. I feel like I'm the only person that thinks about that, but hey,
you're the only one who remembers that movie. That's probably the challenge.
That's where my brain goes sometimes. Useless knowledge up here all over the place.
Yeah, but now add to that, how far away Puerto Rico is from the United States.
I already forgot it. 1,000 miles?
1,000 miles. Nice, easy round number. I'm sure it's, there's a little variance there, but
baked in for sure.
But if you actually look at what happened in this game, now we'll actually talk about the game. It was an interesting start for Team USA. Obviously, another change in the starting lineup for Steve Kerr. He decides to go with Joel Embiid and Jason Tatum in the starting 5. And it was a struggle in that first quarter. The United States was outscored 29-25. Joel Embiid did not look good. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts on that? And what is your perspective on Joel Embiid as a member of Team USA thus far?
Honestly, I'm probably in line with most other people. Like, I don't understand how he fits on this team. Like, no other team that I'm aware of in the Olympic rounds has the size that he matters. And he's just not, he doesn't move well enough.
France?
Okay, my boy Wemby, but my boy Wemby's gonna spin
Rudy.
Around him all day. I'm not worried about Rudy. Nobody's worried about Rudy. But I don't know. Maybe, and okay, valid point. Maybe he's there for that reason. But like, I don't know. When he's out there on the floor, I just feel like it's almost like it's like watching 90s basketball that's like slow and methodical, like Ewing out there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we don't play that. Nobody plays that kind of ball anymore. And the game has evolved so much since then. Like, it's just obvious, like when the second unit came in and all of a sudden, I mean, they started a little slow, but Ant started getting off. There started to be spacing. There started to be ball movement. And all of a sudden we go on this huge run and then we never look back really at that point. And so I think somebody like Joel Embiid, he kind of just doesn't really fit what we're trying to do. I mean, amazing player, MVP. I'm not trying to take any accolades away from him. I'm just thinking that the unique thing about USA basketball is that it's not, we always think of it as, it's the best guy, so they should win. But it's also about putting guys in position to be able to play within whatever their skill set is. Mm-hmm. So I know, like in the last game, y'all talked about this, and everybody seems to be in love with Devin Booker's sacrifice and all that jazz right now.
Yeah, even Steve Kerr.
But that's who Booker is, and that's who Booker has always been in his career. And I know you and I have had this conversation. Like, I personally don't see Booker as like a true alpha, but he is absolutely this player. And I think like this player is capable to defer, capable to create, capable to get other people involved, capable to play the defense, capable to do all the things, which personally I love. Like I think that is what makes him great. I just feel like he's not utilized that way on the Suns. He does, partially because they don't need him to be that, or they want him to be something else. But this is, I think, more in line with what he actually is naturally, right? Whereas Embiid, on the other hand, Embiid is the focal point of everything he does in the Sixers. So when he's out there amongst all these other guys and he's not the focal point, he's on kind of like lost. He's kind of like lost. You know what I mean? At least that's how I kind of see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you take a look at the Puerto Rican team, and this is something we talked about in the last pod, where the assumption is that Embiid would start because of the size that he possesses, because he should have the ability to get down low on the block and just bully anybody and have no issues scoring the basketball. And conversely, on the defensive end, he's going to delete anything that comes on the interior. But what we've seen from Embiid throughout this Olympic run and the showcases that occurred throughout the month of July is you don't need to attack the interior on him. You need to focus on the perimeter because he can't get out and defend. It's
Correct.
exactly what Puerto Rico did in that first quarter. 4 of 8 from beyond the arc. They were pulling Embiid out and because they knew that he wasn't going to be able to contest the shot in any manner. And they had wide open looks at 3. And overall on the game, with some cherry picking at the end, he played a total of 22 minutes, 44 seconds, ended with 15 points, 6 of 14 from the field. Did end up with, just 3 rebounds for Joel Embiid. Like, this is supposed to be the person who's going to be that physical rebounding force, defensive deterrent on the interior. And he doesn't mesh with this team, as you said, Ryan. It doesn't make sense to necessarily have him on this team because that roster spot could be filled by somebody else who provides a more cohesive version of basketball, which you mentioned. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of players on this team that have the ability to provide that cohesiveness. Booker being one of those, Anthony Davis being one of those. Derek White, a perfect example of somebody who provides that cohesive basketball.
Drew Holiday didn't play today, but he's absolutely that guy. Yeah,
100%. And so, I like what Hey.0 just said. He said Walker Kessler, like a Walker Kessler. If you need a big, a Walker Kessler is somebody who can go in there and be effective. I still think that Tatum at the 5, because he's like 6'10", is something you can explore with a third team unit or with some different variations of the lineup. And it's going to be the narrative that we are going to continue to hear. Remember, you take a look right below us, and Team USA had no issue winning this game by 21 points. It was a rocky start at the beginning, but if we're going to look at the negatives of this team, it always just falls right back on Embiid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not necessarily his fault altogether. I just think that it's just weird watching him out there. Like, sometimes you just kind of watch a team and you're like, that guy just doesn't belong on the floor with these other guys. And again, not because he's not good. Yeah. Just doesn't fit.
He's not good on this team.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he's good relatively, but like, it's not, I don't know. If we actually played a team that it mattered against, like it was a close game, like he might be a liability. Like 14 shots.
100%.
What did you say, 9 for 14 or 6 for 14?
6 of 14.
Yeah, that's terrible for NBA or for Olympic play. Like spread the ball more.
43% shooting from Joel Embiid. That's just, it's not necessarily, I don't think it's acceptable.
Well, when you look at just Olympic play in general, typically they move the ball around. Guys don't score huge numbers unless it's in garbage minutes, kind of like Ant kind of padded the stats there at the end there. But even he was taking quality shots, right? He probably had a pretty decent percentage shooting. And like, I feel like the ball moves more, guys get, everybody gets touches, everybody gets 10 points roughly or whatever. And I know Embiid got 14, but on 14 shots, like that's a lot for, to get 14 only. So
exactly. That's not efficiency. And again, when you have somebody like a Joel Embiid, the expectation there is efficiency. That's why he's on the team. So we'll see, maybe his moment will come. I did think it was kind of funny at the very end of the game. He's sitting there like pumping up the crowd, holding the ball, nearly gets it stolen, and then has to chuck up like an air ball 3. So that doesn't obviously help with his efficiency. But it's like, Embiid, you didn't do much to help this team win.
No.
Obviously, looking at this through the eyes of a Suns fan.
Big Dick Booker.
BDB, Big Dick Booker, 17 total minutes played in this game. He was 3 of 9 from the field and 0 of 2 from beyond the arc. But he did have 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 9 total points, and 3 of his 4 rebounds were of the offensive variety. You mentioned a little bit earlier, the way that he plays and how it is cohesive and it is complementary. It does highlight all of his everything that he brings to the sport of basketball in a positive manner. But another thing that's been fun to watch, did you see Devin Booker giving away pythons? The book one.
Oh,
pythons?
yeah, I did see that, yeah.
Like, how cool is that? Who else is doing that?
I mean, nobody, I guess. But no, I mean, my favorite part about that whole video is the dude that he's like didn't even realize it was Booker at first. He was like, "Wait, who that guy looks familiar to me? I'm wearing his jersey." That was kind of a fun little clip.
So the best part is the guy in front of him holds up the Kobe jersey.
Yeah.
He's like, no, not that one, because that everybody loves Kobe for the most part. Not me, but everybody loves Kobe. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, Ryan's giving me the thumbs down for those listening, and I agree. Like, I'm not a big Kobe guy for multiple reasons, but if you're walking around with a Kobe jersey, generally you're going to be the one who is recognized and shouted. They're like, "Oh, Kobe!" And he's like, "Yeah." And so he does things like Kobe, and he's like, "No, move out of the way, man. I need to give these pythons to this Devin Booker fan." And I'm not a fan of the shoe. I'm not a fan of any of the snakeskin Devin Bookers, right? Like, he's got the hike shoes, not really a big fan of. He's got the rattlesnakes, which are all white, which have the snakeskin Nike logo. Not a fan of these. Oh, they're kind of cool, but just not something I would ever wear, because I'm a kid of the 90s. Like, when I wear things, they need to match. And like, what does that match?
I maybe because I'm similar age group, bro. Like, I agree with you. Like, where would I ever rock those? On the basketball court only? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know, but. No,
I'm gonna be honest. When I watched that video, the thing that surprised me most, I think, was that Devin Booker did not sound like what I thought Devin Booker was going to sound like. I know that sounds weird to you because you hear him all the time with your sons, follow and all that. But like, behind the mic being interviewed, Devin Booker sounds like Devin Booker, right? But this was Devin Booker just chilling on the streets. I don't follow him on Instagram or none of that stuff, so maybe I don't see any of this other stuff that he posts up or whatever. But like, I was literally like, oh, okay. That's what he sounds like. So I don't know. That's
he's
weird.
Like, boy out here repping. The only thing that was kind of funny was when he laughed. Somebody made a comment like, when he laughs, it sounds like my 1994 Mustangs trying to turn over in the cold. Like, ha.
Yeah, that was really funny. That was part of it too. It was like, oh, okay.
But it's something I talked about in the last pod, and it's continuing that Booker's living his best life in these Olympics. And it's so cool to see that he's going to the different competitions. He's going to see the women's all-around final and see Simone Biles in person. He's hanging out with skateboarders, and he's got a trunk full of his shoes. He's just driving around Paris and like leaving them at the Louvre and then signing them, Louvre, Devin Booker, whoever finds him, get them. And what's funny is, I don't know if you saw this. You probably didn't because you don't follow him on Instagram and such. But the guy who got his D-Books pythons at the Louvre was rocking a Wemby jersey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Spurs Wemby jersey. See,
nice.
So Booker's a man of the people, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, it's all love, right? It's all basketball's love. Basketball's universal. Basketball's worldwide. So I feel like it's all part of that. Also, this is another reason why I love the Olympics so much. Like he's not the only one, right? Like Ant is out there cheering on his favorite table tennis people. You know what I mean?
I have a theory on that.
We'll come back to that in a second. Let me finish this thought.
Okay.
Like, this is what I love about it. Like, these dudes here in their everyday life in America are the best at what they do, and they can't go out in their regular city without probably getting hounded or bothered or whatever by us mere mortals, right? But like, they're in an area where people don't recognize them right away, but also they're amongst so many other famous athletes like over there that might be more famous than them in some cases. It's kind of cool that they get to just chill and be normal and hang with other people like them and have like a cool environment. And this is across the board with all sports and all these athletes. And so, I know you mentioned it last time about how the Olympic Village, they all smash like crazy. I mean, I don't blame them. They're some of the most
That's my
people
theory
in the world. No, it's a fact. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've read articles about it in the past.
Oh yeah.
Hey, good for them, man. I mean, make a more amazing offspring for later. That's what I say. But in general, like, I just think it's a cool thing to see. And now that we live in a world where everything could just be live streamed immediately, like, we get to see these sides of things much quicker, much real, much more realistic. And so it kind of adds to show that Booker's like just one of us. You know what I mean? He's a regular dude.
One of us.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool thing to say.
You don't have to wait till the Last Dance documentary 25 years later to see these sides of the players that you watch and you enjoy watching play. With Anthony Edwards, they were mentioning on the broadcast today. Noah Eagle and Dwayne Wade were talking about how he did go attend the table tennis prelims. I think it's leading up to the finals, and he's looking forward to going back. And how the Team USA chick is his number one. Like he's a huge fan. I'm like, yeah, that's who he's smashing at Olympic.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, he's like,
okay.
He's like, I got to get out of here. I got to go, check out the table tennis chick.
If he ain't yet, he's laying the groundwork, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's what he's trying to do.
100%. So. And going back real quick to this game, I do want to talk about Anthony Edwards here in a second. But is there anything from Devin Booker that you saw that just kind of stood out to you as a non-Suns fan watching basketball and somebody who is definitely a basketball fan? I mean, I got to say, a lot of the people watching or listening, you might not know Ryan. I know him very well. We talk basketball all the time. Just a good basketball, X's and O's. You played collegiately, right?
No. I tried to walk on collegiately, and I could not make it because.
So you're as good as I am.
I was.
So we're
decent.
equals.
Yeah, pretty much.
Although there is footage out there of you stroking the 3 ball at the Footprint Center on FanDuel Day.
I still got it. That's all I gotta say. Maybe we'll create a bumper for next season whenever you have me in.
Yeah, we got to have your own little drop, the Ryan drop.
Bring me in. Let's go. Maybe I'll bring down one of these jerseys just for that.
There you go.
We'll negotiate. All right. So Devin Booker.
Booker.
Yeah. So like it's fun. I've told you this before. Like Booker frustrates the shit out of me on the Suns, not because necessarily him. Just the way he's utilized. Like I see him more as this kind of player in my head, and maybe I'm wrong. I mean, hey, I could be wrong. I don't watch him nearly as much as you guys do, but every time I'm like frustrated because it's like, oh man, he could have draw the double team, make the pass there, which he does well, or he avoids the contact on a layup to draw contact, which he needs to go to the foul line. Stuff like just weird stuff like that. Maybe I'm being picky, but I love to see him in the free reign of this kind of environment where he knows he doesn't have to be the guy, where he knows he can just be where he needs to be and seems to be in the right spot. He moves away from the ball. He cuts away from the ball. He goes for the rebound. He spreads out, makes the extra pass. Whatever it is that he does basketball wise, I feel like he's making all the smart, right plays. Mm-hmm. And I love to see it. I do want to point out one thing for you though. Last night before when I was watching your previous podcast, just to remember what you said, I went on FanDuel and I saw Devin Booker to score 10 points in every game. Plus 220 or no 2,200, so plus 2,200, $10 plus 220.
You got 9 today.
You got 9, and let me tell you right now, every time I bet Devin Booker in the NBA, he always hoes me out by like one or a hook every time. I don't know, maybe it's just because I don't give him the same love as you guys do. I must be like he's like showing me something, but yeah, burned me on that today. So I had to put that in there. So he burning the Spurs guy. Congratulations, fans. But I do love the guy. I do recognize the talent. I think he's a great player, and I hope that they continue to put pieces around him that can showcase this ability of him more in the Suns. And I think that they'd be a better team overall if they could do stuff like that. So I mean, we'll see what Bud brings in for the offense here in the fall.
Yeah, I think that this is obviously why Suns fans are so excited about the addition of Tyus Jones and Monte Morris coming in, because now you have a professional starting point guard and a professional backup point guard. And because of that, it's going to free up Devin Booker to play more like this version of Devin Booker than ball dominant. I have to dictate the offense, Devin Booker, because while that can be effective, and we saw it last year, it was technically effective. He 27.1 points per game, a career high in assists per game. Like Booker has that capacity, but from a utilization standpoint, it's not what highlights his best abilities, as you noted, and as everybody's seen worldwide with Team USA. Now, granted, anybody who plays Team USA is going to look great because the talent around you is great.
Totally.
But the talent around you is great on the Phoenix Suns. You have Kevin Durant. You have Bradley Beal. You have Yusuf Nurkic on the interior, who's not the greatest center, but he's a damn serviceable center, especially considering how much you're paying him. You have now Tyus Jones to really run that offense and allow Booker to play off ball, which is where he excels. And last year, there was just too much discombobulation and not a good understanding of when and where to turn it on and turn it off. And that's something that I noted throughout the season. There were times where Devin Booker would have to be passive because he had to be passive to make the offense go. And there are other times where he would be ball dominant and shoot a shot, and everyone's like, well, he's being a ball hog. So there's kind of this, there will always be a give and take, and there's never any right answer unless you win a championship. But I think that what Bud is going to instill with the assets that he's going to have at his disposal, we could see more of this version of Devin Booker. And as a Suns fan, it continues to be one of those things where you're excited, but you're tentatively excited because you felt this excitement last year and it ended in such utter disappointment.
Dare I say, I mean, Bud is from the Spurs tree during the time that these guys played on the Spurs behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And dare I say, and I don't know that Bud's going to do this. In my opinion, Bud offensively isn't exactly a strong shooter. He's kind of more of a defensive guy, but probably better than Vogel. So that's probably a plus. I mean, honestly, Booker should be playing like this guy. Sorry, over this shoulder. Should be playing like this guy.
Nosebleed.
Like within the offense, within the way that Manu moved and ran within that offense, is the way that, I mean, that would unlock Booker in so many different ways. Honestly, I mean, I don't know that that's the direction they're going, but it would be something interesting to see. I think
it would be interesting to see for sure. And again, that's when we watch these games, we can't help but look at the talent and just go, you know what, the possibilities there, and it's why we get so hyped up. Another guy, obviously, who has a lot of talent is, Easy Money.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
Kevin Durant coming off the bench as per usual with Team USA. 19 minutes played, was 4 of 8 from the field and 3 of 7 from beyond the arc for a total of 11 points. Had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and he had a couple opportunities where they passed him the ball and he was wide the fuck open and he knocked him down. How the hell do you leave Kevin Durant so wide open, Ryan?
I don't know. NBA defenses have been doing it for years too. Like, the guy is a Hall of Famer. The guy is one of the GOATs. The guy is got one of the smoothest strokes ever. And he's so tall and he shoots so high that it's like nearly impossible to block it or really defend it. So like, I honestly, like, because he's Kevin Durant, like, I'll know who he is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, like, sorry, Puerto Rico, you got no shot here. This is that he's a cheat code, especially in international ball.
Yeah,
there's very few people that could even come close to matching up against him. You know.
Yeah, it's another masterclass by KD to just be the perfect complement to international style play. Impossible to stop. And when you're going against talent like that, like, it's one thing in the NBA when the talent is elite all the time, or for the most part, unless you play, like the Spurs or the Toronto Raptors. But
hey, you mean the Spurs who won the season series against the Suns, even though we were one of the worst teams in the league?
I don't know if I'd brag about that. The Suns were ass.
Hey, I'll take it. Baby steps.
Weren't we the only team that you had a winning record against?
That is correct.
That's so sad.
That is correct.
Like, that's why, again, when I talk to other Suns fans, I was having this conversation a couple days ago. I went to my old general manager retired. And so I went back to the old hotel that I used to work at 3 years ago. A bunch of people that I know obviously still work. They're like, "Hey, Void, how you doing? It's great to see you." And I see the Suns thing is going on, and one guy's like, "I just don't see it with the Suns." And now, granted, he's like a Detroit Pistons fan. He's like, "I just don't see it." I'm like, "Cool, man." He's like, "They're not going to play well next year, or they're not going to do well." I'm like, "It's not that hard to say that, man. They've never played well. 56 seasons, never won a championship." But at the same time, like, settle down, okay? Because one of the things that this team has is you take a look at this last season. It's like you said, we lost the Spurs 2 out of 3 times. There's a game here, a game there, where if those go a different way, we're like a 4 seed, we're a 3 seed, and it could have been a lot different. Who knows? Now, granted, there's a lot of structural issues. I was not a fan of Vogel, what have you, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I hate to correct you,
Tuesday.
But it was 3 out of 4 times.
3 out of 4. Okay.
I just want to point that out.
Okay. But at the same time, those things go your way and great things could potentially happen. And that's what I'm looking forward to next season. But again, going back to Kevin Durant, just want to put a little bow on Kevin Durant. Another great game for him coming off the bench. But you look at Anthony Edwards in this game, and it's definitely something that we've had a conversation here on the Suns Jam Session podcast, we versus me type of basketball. Mm-hmm. Anthony Edwards in 17 minutes played off the bench, 11 of 15 for 26 points to lead Team USA and all scores in this game. Also had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. This was the Anthony Edwards game. And it was needed because, again, this team was sputtering along in the first quarter. Ant Edwards comes out and just takes over the game. And I was watching along with Matthew. I go, good. This is what I want to see. I want to see a productive Anthony Edwards play the way that he can and his potential. And I know that you went to a couple Suns games this season to see them play against Minnesota, and you saw Ant up close and personal. Tell me about your thoughts on Ant during the game and what you saw from him last season.
Well, like I've been telling you, he's become one of my favorite players to watch over the last 2 years. Man, the dude from the level of rawness that he went to just a couple years ago to like starting to polish into form now is incredible. Like this guy might possibly be the best player in the league in the next 5 years. And I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's on the table. And I know the comparison is made and people are going to shit on me for this, but man, sometimes he's looking like a little somebody we used to know with the initials M and J out there a little bit. And even today,
Mike Jones.
Yeah, that'll work too.
Who?
I guess anyone, right? He is the guy that's like, I can do whatever you need me to do whenever you need me to do it, right? He's like, oh, I'm gonna hit this jumper. You're gonna give me this space. I'm gonna hit it, and then he's gonna laugh about it and smile about it, and it's only gonna fuel him to be better, right? And then he's like, oh, you're gonna guard that? All right, I'm gonna drive to the basket. I'm gonna shake you. I'm gonna pull up for a little 15-footer. Bam. You know what I mean? Oh, you're gonna stop that? Oh, I'm gonna go straight to the basket. I'm gonna draw contact. I'm gonna go to the foul line. Oh, you're gonna come to me. I'm gonna make the extra pass. Whatever. Like it's just the dude just gets it. I mean, he's still young. Was he like 23? I think 22, 23. Dude has a lot of growth still, but like, I mean, sky's the limit for him, really. Like if he continues to get his jumper, continues to be aggressive, continues to attack, you know, like he could do anything on the floor, I think. And he plays defense. Like it's almost like he's that old school mentality of like defense leads to offense, right? Oh, maybe I'm not doing well. Let me steal the ball and like get a dunk. Let me, which he did in this game, which was nasty. Or let me just, Alvarado, right? Alvarado was torching the U.S. early on. Ant comes in the second quarter, pretty much shuts him off almost immediately because it's all of a sudden I'm a physical big guard that's going to be in front of you, right? And that was kind of the period. Like when he came in, I wrote this down on my notes here. The USA was losing, then stems the bleeding, basically scores 6 points pretty quickly, as well as plays defense in Alvarado, and all of a sudden we're up again. And that was on that 11-0 run or whatever it was that we made in the second quarter to go up. Like the guy, I think energy he brings out, everybody feeds off this. And so going back to the Minnesota series against the Suns in the playoffs, I went to a couple of those games, like it was the same thing there. Like everyone on his team fed off of him, and he believed he could beat the Suns, and they believed they could beat the Suns because of him. And it was just I was inspired by the guy. Like I've told you, like he's becoming one of my favorite players for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely entertaining to watch, and part of it is his intensity, part of it is his talent, part of it is his personality, and like he's got some of that Shaq quality, in my opinion, to him, because he is just so animated and having a good time and, you know, intense at times. So fun to watch without a doubt. An amazing game from him. Exactly what we needed, because he's had his struggles, in my opinion, you know, relative to overall, you know, quote unquote struggles for Team USA. Right. But at the same time, he needed a game where everything kind of came together and where his ball hogginess, if you will, worked in its favor, and it's exactly what happened. The problem with Team USA in the first quarter was they were they were too selfless, and they were making bad passes. And I felt like it was one of those games where anybody who was a member of the Phoenix Suns, whenever they received a pass, it was a bad one. Embiid had a pass to Devin Booker, goes out of bounds. Durant got a pass and like went up, and you know it's up to his right, so he's got to take the ball and try to bring it down and get to a shot. And by then, the defender's there. So when Ant Edwards came in, he attacked, and I thought that, you know, it played in his favor this game, which hasn't always played in his favor thus far in this Olympic run, where being a ball hog doesn't work. But today it did work, and it was very fun to see.
I find it interesting that you use the phrase ball hog. So again, I haven't watched the previous game, so maybe that you're referring to something I haven't seen. But like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's a ball hog situation to me. It feels like he's taking what they're giving to him.
No, if you'd watch previous games, you'd see like he'd run into double teams and then still try to navigate them and try to get a shot up when like Team USA is around you. Like dish the ball out, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So with that context, like that is something that I do think he needs to work on. I mean, he even did it in the times with the Timberwolves this last season, especially in the playoffs, later in the playoffs, like trying too hard to make something happen and not necessarily taking what's being given to him. I think that that's something he'll learn and continue to learn, hopefully, as he becomes great. I mean, looking at his stat line, I have it right here. Like this is kind of just the efficiency of him. So him and Embiid took the most shots, right, for Team USA.
Yep.
Ant was 11 for 15, 25 points, plus 12 on the plus minus score. Joel Embiid, on the other hand, 11 points, and he was plus minus was 7. I mean, it's just about efficiency. I mean, hell, even Durant, who only took 8 shots at 13 points, was a plus 9. So, like, I know we already covered this. I missed it earlier, but like, it just goes to show, like, somebody like Embiid, who maybe is a little more, I considered ball hoggy. Like he always wanted to score or shoot the ball. Like these other guys, I feel like are just kind of playing within whatever's being available to them. Though I do think that Ant did, he took a couple like heat check shots here or there. But for the most part, I thought he had a great game today. They had no answer for him. Then nobody can guard him. And he was just a menace to them on defense too.
Well, the nice thing is, other than Embiid, no one could guard anybody on Team USA. Embiid was pretty easy to guard.
Yeah.
There was a stakeout today.
Oh.
Subreddit stakeout.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
Where is she? Your laugh. You're like, that's funny. Boom, subreddit stakeout. So I was on the subreddit of Team USA to see what they had to say about the game. The first thing, I have nothing else to say except NBC is ass. Playing Puerto Rico seems like someone fighting with their own nipple. Because like a lot of people think Puerto Rico is a state.
I mean, arguably, should it be? Question mark. Different podcast, but sure.
Well, but then the question becomes, if they become a state, like what happens to all their Olympians?
It's an excellent question.
There goes Jose Alvarado's only chance to be an Olympian.
I couldn't help but watch Alvarado and think to myself, man, the Suns could really use him. Like honestly, like that's the kind of guy that you guys need running y'all's offense.
Fuck that guy. So obviously they were down in the first quarter. So somebody stated in the subreddit, "What the fuck? I blame Jason Tatum." Jason Tatum gets so much hate. So one of our friends is a Celtics fan, and obviously they just won the championship, and he tells us consistently how much hate Jason Tatum gets from the inside of his fan base, right? It's even international. Everybody has something to say about Jason Tatum.
I have words, but I'll save them.
Okay. That was absolutely an awful interview by Tarico. Every question was about Team USA. I felt bad for SGA.
I saw that interview. Yeah, you could tell like SGA was like, "Oh man, I'm here to talk about them." Like, come on.
Yeah, the whole time. The whole time. And then somebody did this as a quote. Shay, would you like to win basketball games? SGA responds, I think, Tarico. Anyway, what's it going to take for Team USA to win the gold this year? Are we sure KD is not wearing a Curry mask? Stephen Curry, not very good on Team USA.
You know what's funny is one of the greatest shooters of all time, arguably the best, right? How much does the ball impact that? You know what I'm saying? Because the international ball is a different ball. It's supposed to be better for shooting. But I remember, I don't know if y'all, back in the day, the NBA tried to switch the ball. Remember this?
For like 10 games?
It was more than that. It was like about 2 months, I think it was. But still, and then everybody hated it. Percentages were down.
Yeah, Steve Nash hated it.
Roughly is. And it was a whole thing because you're just used to playing with a certain ball a certain way. And so when you're such a precision shooter from so far, I wonder how much of that matters. It's probably nothing.
It's working for everybody else.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Although
maybe the NBA ball benefits Curry.
Yeah, but the 3-point line is a little closer than the NBA 3, right? And they're taking shots closer, whereas Steph, is taking those same threes slightly inside of an NBA. He probably wouldn't take them in those spots typically. And I know that everybody hates Dwayne Wade's commentary, but like he did make the good point. Like maybe Steph needs to move further back. You know what I mean? To shoot the threes. Just an observation. Not certain. I'd like to see it happen.
Again, we're winning by 21 points, so these are nitpicky things. But I think a lot of people were looking forward to Steph Curry in his first Olympic run, really just lighting it up on the international stage, because it would have made for some like Simone Biles-esque moments, right? Like moments of greatness from a great athlete. And we just haven't seen that Steph Curry moment. The closest we had to that was in the second showcase game for Team USA. He came out and was like 6 of 9 from beyond the arc in the first quarter. And it's like, oh, this is what we're talking about. Steph Curry, Olympian, this is going to be great. And it just hasn't happened. But that's not to say it won't. Like, I feel like a Curry moment's coming.
I hope so. Honestly, I love the guy, right? I mean, but I think that like when you actually look at the totality of his career, he's actually much older than I think people realize.
Oh, yeah. He's like 36?
Yeah, he's not that old, I don't think, right? Now you got me questioning that. But my point being is that like he I feel like the Steph that everybody wants to see is the Steph from like the last like 10 years ago who didn't play on Olympic teams for whatever reasons. And he kind of isn't that player in the NBA anymore either. Like he has off nights. Like he's not as consistent as he used to be. And I know this solely from betting and losing.
Verifying 36 years old in 142 days.
See, and that's the point is that I think people think like he's like 31 because he looks so young and stuff, but dude has been in the league for a long time. He's an old dude. Yeah.
Long time. Other comments on the subreddit stakeout? Anthony Davis looking like Lisa Simpson. Okay.
I missed the reference. All right. I mean, I know Lisa Simpson, but
remember when Lisa had the cornrows that one time?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Then Tyrese Halliburton entered the game. Bong rips for Halliburton. That's from a Celtics fan. What's great about watching these or navigating the subreddit, because it's an NBA subreddit, is people have their flair, so it lets you know like what teams are saying these things. Mm-hmm. So like the bong rips for Halliburton was from a Celtics fan. That's from awesome. A Lakers fan, it says Hallie Victory Cigar. And then the last comment I have is from a Spurs fan.
Yeah, let's go. Oh, no.
All right. It says, I don't give a shit if Embiid makes a 3 or gets to the line. He's lazy as shit on defense, and on offense, he's a fucking black hole. Either you get him the ball for him, or either you get him the ball for him to try and score, or he does jack shit. He's a supersized Westbrook out there without any energy.
Did I write that? I didn't write that. That wasn't me. Might have been me. I don't know. All that except for the Westbrook comment, because I think Westbrook gets a little too much hate, but that's a whole different subject.
Westbrook plays with what I like to call give a shit.
Correct. So by default, I give him a certain level.
Don't know if Joel Embiid always has that give a shit. And that's
funny.
The subreddit stakeout. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
So you kind of alluded to it there. I just want to bring into real quick. One thing I love about the Olympics also is I appreciate that I get to cheer for all these guys and not hate on, they don't like, well, maybe not Embiid, but the rest of them. like, you know, it's like, oh man, way to go Tatum.
Way to go LeBron.
Yeah, way to go. I mean, let's talk about the GOAT, arguably. Like, the
Michael
dude
Jordan wasn't in the game.
Let's talk about this generation's GOAT, arguably. That's
not arguably. He is this generation's GOAT.
All right, well, whatever. Point is, I mean, the fact he's like almost my age and he's still doing what he's doing.
Greatest career of all time.
Shut it down. Let's go home. The guy's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, LeBron, again, and you do bring up a good point. It's something I've definitely talked about on this pod, and I'll continue to say it is fun watching these basketball games and rooting for players you don't normally root for.
Yeah.
Like, I don't root for LeBron James. And there's a bunch of reasons. I respect him. I've always respected LeBron James as a basketball player and how he's navigated a career, which is probably the toughest career to ever navigate relative to expectations with the social media era, everything, all the intangibles. Him making a lot of right moves and a couple wrong ones, but being a Laker for the past 6 years. So definitely just an arch nemesis and rival and somebody I want to see not win. 18 minutes in this game, 10 points, 4 of 6, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. To root for him, it's fun. It's what I felt in 2021 when I was rooting for Kevin Durant and watching Kevin Durant play, because I've always been a fan of Kevin Durant. And I've always rooted for him from afar. But when he's on your team, you're like, wow, this is fun. He's on our team. And now obviously he came to the Suns. And it's fun, but it's also not, because now you're watching them every night and you're seeing the intricacies of their game, and you're seeing, what can make them better, or where you feel their faults are. But that's what's fun about the games, is watching and experiencing these players through the eyes of a fan of that team, and understanding why they get the accolades they should. And LeBron James absolutely should. And it's great to see him doing kind of his swan song out there relative to the Olympics, because he's not coming back. He's not going to be here in 2028 over in LA, although you never know. But maybe he'll just say, I can't make it, but here's Bronny. Put him on the team, everybody. He'd be a great 27th man.
You put Bronny on it, I'll come for the last game. That's for sure. But again, yeah. So I think I remember talking to you about this back when the Suns played Minnesota, and I went to that game in the playoffs, and I was just going off gleefully at how good the basketball was, right? Yeah. As a fan who had no rooting interest, like I didn't care who won the game, like go Suns, I guess, because I live here, but like they're not my team, right? So like there was zero rooting interest. It was just, I want to see basketball, and I saw great basketball played, and it was just so much fun. And I think sometimes when we're dived into our teams only, we forget this piece of why we probably love basketball to begin with, right? Yeah. And it's just funny how so I think the Olympics is a good reminder of that. Always like watching these guys play, it's just like, oh man, this is fun. I enjoy watching it.
No, I agree with you 100%.
I mean, plus circling back to what we said earlier about the way the game moves differently internationally, and the flow is different, and it feels like a little more like soccer.
Oh yeah, I never gave my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, or even Olympic hockey, right? Like Olympic hockey is typically a little less grindy and physical than like NHL hockey, and it plays like it's a more free flowing game, a lot more scoring and that kind of thing.
Yeah, the FIBA game is definitely something that you understand why, or the effect on media rights and things of that nature in the NBA, because there is a commercial every 5 seconds. Anytime they can shove one down your throat, they're going to. When you hit the 3-minute mark, if there's any foul or anything, it's automatically a commercial break. So it slows the game down a lot, because they've got to get their advertising in there. Yep. Whereas, like you said, FIBA is very free flowing, and it's physical, and it's a game that we revisit every 4 years when we watch the Olympics. Or, if you're more of a basketball junkie like myself, you see it every summer because you watch FIBA. Yeah. But at the same time, you gain this respect for it, and you wish that the NBA would follow suit in some capacity. And in recent years, it has. They have the take foul, which is something that I think could be enforced a little bit more in the NBA, but it does exist. So it penalizes trying to break up fast breaks and trying to stop the game, because that's what a foul does. It stops the game, right? It did get more physical the back half of last season. We'll see if that carries over to the next season. But not only does it create for better basketball, but if that's the standard you have in the NBA, it's going to make for better international basketball from Team USA, because they're used to these rules. One thing we're seeing in this Olympics versus last Olympics in Tokyo, a lot less complaining, because the players are kind of used to this physicality, and you know what, I got to play until there is a whistle, not hoping I get a whistle. Yeah. So I agree with you. FIBA is such a better sport to watch.
Yeah, I mean, better is relative, but like I definitely enjoy it, and it does remind me more of like the basketball that maybe I played growing up that was not so. Like I said, we probably watch so much NBA that we're just used to the beats of it. You know what I mean? And that's all I was saying. But I do want to say one thing about the NBC broadcasts.
Fire away.
The greatest freaking thing that they freaking show is that little teaser bumper with the freaking John Tesh NBA on NBC song. Yes. Dude, I get tingles every time, man. My little
just
Ryan
takes you back to the
man,
Jordan days.
100%, man. I just think about like the NBA on NBC on Saturday, live from America West Arena, whatever it is. Like, dude, I cannot, like, even though they're figuring out how they're going to do basketball again, and I hope Dwayne Wade is not one of their regular rotation commentators. I'm so looking forward to just at least hearing that bumper at the intro. I know it's on the Fox Sports college basketball thing. I watch a lot of college basketball. I see it there. It just doesn't have the same feel, doesn't have the same memory. But man, I cannot wait to tune in and see that. I hope they play the long form version where homeboy John Tesh is on the piano going crazy. You know what I'm saying? That'd be dope.
Like after that jingle, he gave up Entertainment Tonight. He's like, I've got a future in jingle making, and that was it. Like, I don't know if he did anything else, but I'm with you. I see it, I hear it, and I'm just like, this is fantastic. And then they're like, fall 2025. I'm like, fuck.
If
it's a year away.
If it's true. If it's any consolation, like so they recently started. I'm a Big Ten guy, right? So they recently started doing Big Ten football games, like random streaming games on Peacock. And the first couple of games that they broadcast were rough. It got better as the year went on. Still got growth to do. So I imagine. NBA inside stuff.
Yeah, I wonder what Ahmad Rashad's up to, man.
Bring him back, and what was it?
NBA
Hannah Bay,
stuff? Hannah Storm.
Hannah Storm and Willow Bay eventually.
Yeah, Willow Bay,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, man, bring that show back. Now we're talking.
Yeah, see, we're getting all nostalgic here.
Or put Charles and Kenny in that and just rebrand.
Let them
cook.
Just
saying.
Let them cook.
Yeah.
One last note I have on this game before we hand out the Jam Star. What were your thoughts on Suns legend Devin Reed out there playing for Puerto Rico?
I had
any idea who that is?
No idea. He was a Suns legend.
He's not a legend, but
he did play well. I thought he played pretty decent. So for what you could take away from them, him, Ramiro, and Alvarado were like the bright spots. I thought. On their team.
Devin Reed, I forget what draft it was. I think it was the 8 draft. He was our second round pick out of Miami, and I always thought he'd be better than he was. Maybe it was the Josh Jackson year, the year before, 2017. Always thought he'd be better than he was. And he was out there today. I was like, hey, Devin Reed, there we go. And fuck Jose Alvarado. That's all I can say about that.
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Jam, so just a reminder, if you happen to be watching along live, leave a thumbs up button. Helps with the algorithms. Lets people know where you like to hang out after Suns games or Team USA games. Who are you giving your Jam Star of the Game to, Ryan?
I mean, it's got to be Ant, right? It's got to be. It's not even a question, I think. Like,
I don't disagree. I think that he definitely had the big game. Like I said, somebody who primarily is an isolation player, and it worked in his favor against this team. Don't know if it'll work in every game, but it definitely worked today. And I'm happy to see that. We got to win as a team. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
USA.
One of us. USA. Who's your favorite Spur of all time?
Oh, damn.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Walk me.
Thoughts. Brains?
Well played, sir. Well played.
I have my moments. All right, last thing I want to talk about before we get out of here. We only got a few more minutes left. In-N-Out Burger.
Oh, yeah,
Mustard fried.
You're welcome.
Pickles and onions.
Grilled
Tell
onions.
me about this.
Yeah, man.
I didn't say grilled onions. That was my problem yesterday. They gave me the fucking animal style.
Oh, if you do the animal style, if you do the animal style, they're supposed to go give you grilled onions, pickles, and mustard fried, but they give you double spread, which I personally could do without. So that's just me. But yeah, man. I don't know. I stumbled upon this when I did like the whole 30 a couple years back. So don't need to go into all the details, but it fell within the parameters, lettuce wrap style, and that's how I do my burgers there from now. And I hadn't had one in a while. I know I told you recently I went, and all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, I forgot how good this burger can be sometimes. And so that's where I was at.
So if you don't know what I'm talking about, people, Ryan recently told me about mustard fried for In-N-Out Burger. Now I love In-N-Out Burger. Now I know that you and I have had this conversation before about what's better, In-N-Out Burger, Whataburger, tomato, right? It's like, it's whatever your preference is. It's like anime, right? Like either you're into it or you're just not. Okay.
Fair enough.
But I was like, you know what? I do love In-N-Out Burger. And you said there might be a way to enhance it. And you said, just ask for mustard fried. And what they do is when they're cooking your burger, they throw on some mustard and they cook it in mustard. And I love mustard. Like I'm a low maintenance condiment guy. I don't put very many condiments on anything. Fries, I can eat fries by themselves. I don't eat ketchup. Some people are like, oh, drown that shit. I'm like, nah. But I do like mustard on my fries. Like I'll dip my fries in mustard. I love mustard. Vinegary, delicious. In fact, this weekend I'm going to make some collard greens. Takes a lot of mustard, good vinegary stuff. But you told me about this mustard fry. So I went yesterday. You know, it's Friday. I was like, you know what? I'm going to splurge. I'm going to go have me some In-N-Out. Got some mustard fried with pickles. Another thing, I love pickles. I never thought to ask for pickles in In-N-Out. That alone adds that extra little crunch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and the tang. Yeah.
I just got to say, thank you for that advice. That was fantastic. Any other advice you want to give me or jamsters out there that doesn't involve anime?
You make me sound like I'm an anime nut when I just know you'll like a certain story. I don't know. I got nothing, I guess. I'm good.
All right.
But I can do, no, you're fine. Go ahead.
Well, on that note, Is there anything else you want to say just in period? Because I'm getting ready to wrap this thing up because I just drank a whole coffee, so I got to take a shit.
No, man, appreciate you having me. Anytime you need me to come on, talk ball, I'm down. I got my gold pen for the gold medal that we're about to get soon.
There you go.
Go USA.
There you go.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks for hanging out with us. I know it's weird seeing a Spurs fan, but this is just a reminder that Team USA brings people together, not pushes us apart. You know, it's about cohesiveness and camaraderie. So thanks for hanging out. A reminder, subscribe, rate, review. My name's John Voida. You can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. You can follow me at Darth Voida. Can they follow you on Twitter, Ryan?
There's no point, so don't even worry about it. Honestly.
Well, on that note, Jamsters, go home and love your family.